rock and roll. So, yeah, the title of this one is Fuck Ice and Your MAGA Mom. Because I thought that would be funny. Uh, but yeah, no, seriously. Can you believe the shit that's going on? Is that some, like, I don't know what the fucking dude's name is, Ross or whatever the fuck, that stupid agent that found it necessary to shoot that poor woman in the face. Like, I know everybody in the world on any media platform has been talking about it, and it's hard to believe that you've got actually people on the other side of that like, oh no, she deserved to get blown away like that. It's just, it. I know people on that, that at least have said or proclaim themselves to be MAGA. I have not heard them say that they're agree with what just happened, but we're not that close anymore. But I know people like that. I grew up with people like that. But when I say like that, I mean, extreme kind of that MAGA shit. Even before it was MAGA, there was always a type of person that was down with all that. We didn't call them MAGA then. We just called them assholes, racists, just fucking dicks that you didn't want to hang out with. People that constantly complained about every fucking thing in the world, and it was always somebody else's fault. It was never theirs. Those people have been around for millennia. And modern society, before social media, blah, blah, blah. When I was coming up, in the 70s and whatnot, and these fucking people been around forever. But back then, we didn't call them MAGAs. We just called them assholes because that's what they fucking were, And there was always that, like, real extreme, like the QAnon MAGA fuck. There's always one of those too in every neighborhood. He was the guy that lived down the road on your dead end street that you grew up on. That, if you had the unfortunate luck to get stuck talking to him, he would chat you up about, God knows, what conspiracy theory, chemtrails, or fucking, who knows what. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to talk JFK conspiracy, that even fuck, I mean, that conspiracy isn't false. I mean, even the commission led by I think it was Ford in the 70s determined that, okay, we don't know who it was with, but there was a conspiracy. So I mean, that's a thing. As to who did it, who perpetrated it, we don't know, but it is a fact it was a conspiracy. Nevertheless, there's a lot of things, a lot of the moon landing being faked and all these. There was always that guy down at the end of the block that would come up with, the lizard people shit or whatever. And that was fine. And quite frankly, I didn't even mind talking to people like that. I found that shit they were spewing interesting, at least. Not that I believed it. I mean, I do have a brain. I can discern what is even relatively like, that could be, or, no, I think you're crazy. It's funny, like a guy like David Icke, for example, a very interesting dude. Watched tons of his lectures, and even he admits that people that even listen to him will stay with him up to a certain point, but then no farther, because he just takes it all the way to, I don't know, we're being ruled by lizard people. Let's just put it that way. Point is that all those people had their place and they were in your neighborhood, but they had no way to congregate and join up and become a group or a fucking movement until the advent of social media. Advent of social media, poof. Fast forward, how many years was it even? 15, 10 before this happened? I mean, and then it just proliferates because we all know, we got governments involved. We got, people doing what they're doing as far as, trying to manipulate, opinions and things like that, bots and fucking trolls, yada, yada. Certain governments in the world, probably even our own, have, troll farms and shit like that. I mean, I'm sure we probably do it in some way, I mean, I don't see why the US wouldn't, it's a tool, in the disinformation toolbox, right? So of course they're going to use that. Anyway, not to get too sidetracked, but the point is like, yeah, there's always been these MAGA people. I guess I need to speak up a little bit because I'm not getting much register on this. So there's always been these fucking MAGA people. Well, like I said, we just called them fucking pricks or assholes or dipshits. Never took them too seriously. Oh wait, something must be happening on ESPN. Maybe the alert went off on the phone. Maybe the Bills scored and tied the game up for those fans. As long as they beat fucking Denver, That's all I fucking care about. Just do not want to see Denver. Anyway, so yeah, you got the MAGA folk that are all like, "Oh yeah, she deserved to have that happen." Unbelievable. Of course, those are the same people that think, that somehow the January 6th people were justified. So, what we're really talking about here is less about true justice, less about what's right and wrong, and more about I what other people want to happen. And that's the interesting thing about the right wing, the MAGAs, the assholes of the fucking world. They got together and decided it'd be a fucking terrific idea to vote a piece of shit like Donald Trump into fucking office, not once, but twice. Fucking crazy. Like once, twice. Fucking nuts, right? I mean, even some of them, I'm sure, are thinking, "Oh fuck, what did we do?" Because I say that because there's a few people, like I mentioned earlier, that I know that are down with that, right? That I know voted for him, that have posted all the Charlie Kirk bullshit, post a lot of Trump nonsense from time to time. Not avidly. I mean, they're relatively moderate about it. But one thing I did notice, because they all jumped in on the Charlie Kirk shit, "Oh, we got to post that because, oh, God forbid, Charlie Kirk, blah, blah, blah." They all have one thing in common. They're either incredibly religious or they're fucking stupid. And I'm not saying that just about the people that I know, but that's just in general. Well, what about and that's how you explain kind of the fucking, well, there are some smart people involved in this. Um, and they're fucking, religious nuts. Or they're just fucking, I'll take that back. Religious nuts, incredibly rich fucking people that just want to rule the world. So that narrows it down considerably, and just dumbasses that are basically the bulk of everything. The religious nuts and the dumbasses are really the bulk of it. But anyway, what I've noticed is that with the people that I know that are down with that shit, they're not posting fuck all with all these, with all that's going on with ICE. They ain't posting a goddamn thing. And the interesting thing is these people, I mean, they seem to be just the nicest people you can meet, really. I've never had a personal issue with any of them. But interestingly enough, in case you haven't noticed, I'm also white. It just never occurred to me that they discerned a difference in how they treat people. I mean, I've never seen them interact with people of color, so I don't know. They never really openly talk about it as far, about racism and so on and so forth. I don't think I've ever had that conversation with any of them. It's never come up. I don't know why. Hey, where do you stand? Do you like black people? What do how's that come up, really? We didn't ever really talk politics, but at the time I just thought we were, because we did differ on they're religious, I'm not. They're right wing or Republican, at the time. I'm not, and they know that I'm liberal. But aside from that, we get along just grand, on a grand scale. It's great. Until all the, the Trump stuff and all that. And then it got a little weird, because then it's like, oh, he's being so open about the kind of ways he's trying to get people to vote for him that if you're voting for him, then all those things that you were keeping secret, you're now letting out of the bag. And that's basically what MAGA has done. So all the people that are MAGA and you didn't know they were like that and they've always been nice to you, blah, 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 blah. And I can say the same thing about people. Just know that those same people, they're nice to you because you're fucking white. You're the same color or you're in their congregation, or whatever. But give them any reason to disagree with your lifestyle, the color of your skin, who you love, or even someone in your family. And they will go out of their way to fucking make sure you understand that you are not complying or not conforming to their idea of how things should be. And you will suffer that wrath in one way or another, which is, which is their way of saying they do the same thing. But then they're like, well, what about the left wing when they dox people? And yeah, the Karens of the world, that the liberals tend to like, videotape and people lose their jobs. And yeah, I mean, both sides do that shit. Ain't looking to dox anybody. It's more of like it's more like a self-awareness tool. If you're, as far as like who you're around, right? Like an awareness of who you're associating with. So if you think everybody is cool, and hey, we just differ on politics a little bit, we've passed that. The line has been crossed. This isn't about high taxes and low taxes. at least not, not for us. I mean, because we're getting taxed anyway. It's the billionaires are getting over on that. But if somebody comes to you with, oh, I'm a Republican because of fiscal responsibility in this day and age, with things as they are, with society as it is, and with the administration doing the things they're doing, you don't get to fucking run that, oh, well, hey, I don't agree with what he's doing, but the fiscal policy, fuck yourself. It's a package deal, man. This ain't a buffet where you can take, let me get, okay, oh, awesome. They've got lower taxes. Okay, cool. Let me get some of that. Let me get, there's that thing where, oh, yeah, yeah, they made it this week. Yep, yep, yep. Let me try that. They're gonna put a fucking cap on credit card interest rates, but only for a year or a short time, not forever. Let me get some of that. What's this? What's this thing over there? I don't recognize. Oh, I've seen that before. Yeah, that's fascism. I don't want any of that. Um, you don't get to do that. You know why? Because basically, like going to a buffet, you don't have to eat everything. Like you don't have to like everything, but you paid the price of admission to the buffet. So enjoy all of it. You're welcome to it. It's all part of it, right? It's all part of the experience. You don't have to eat it. You don't have to like the fascism with your democracy. But nevertheless, that's what they're serving in this restaurant. And by casting a vote for anyone associated with MAGA or Donald Trump, you effectively entered the MAGA restaurant, and this motherfucker is what's on the menu. So yeah, you can sit here and try to two sides of it and try to fucking walk that fine line, try to keep some of your friends or try to, tell you this is what you tell yourself in the mirror so you maintain your own fucking self-esteem and feel like you're maintaining some sense of dignity. But the reality of it is, man, your vote in that voting booth was entrance into the MAGA buffet. You don't have to like everything that's on it, but you have created and have kept this whole buffet in business with your vote. Just like you go to the buffet and half the shit on it you can't fucking stand, but the other half you like a lot. But the fact is that when you walked into that restaurant, even though you don't like half the shit on the buffet, when you paid the full price for the asking price at the fucking door, you are keeping that buffet in business, and they're gonna keep pushing half that shit you don't like onto the buffet because guess what? Unfortunately, there's half the people that do. Now, in this instance, it's not really half the people. We've got a third of people voted against him, a third of people voted for him, and a third of people sat at home on their fucking hands and didn't do shit. Because how on God's green earth could he win? He won once, motherfucker. You didn't think he'd do it again? And then they believe the propaganda with, oh. Granted, the Democrats really fucked it up by asking Biden to step down and then having Kamala run a fucking race. But they also fucked up when they pushed a woman on people for the second time in a row. I know, hot take, not a popular opinion. I personally like working with women. I don't mind having women as bosses. I wouldn't even mind a woman president. Shit. Wouldn't mind. I'd rather have a woman president sucking the dick of a fucking leader to get something that will desperately help us than Donald Trump over there sucking Putin's fucking dick to get a bunch of shit that's going to fuck us all. That's what would be my preference. Now, granted, that's all, theoretically speaking, but the real point is simply, I don't have a problem with that personally. But what I do know as somebody who lives within our society and who, that's my cat, who she evidently has something she wants to say, but good luck understanding it. I don't understand her half the time. But as somebody who lives in this society, I can honestly say, and yeah, this is, listen to all the feminists or even the women, oh, it's misogynist. I can't help that it's fact. I don't mind it, but I know most men don't. Most men don't want a woman running the fucking show. And the fact that the goddamn Democrats haven't clued into that, like Hillary Clinton's decimation and getting defeated by Donald Trump should have been clue enough. Instead, and I would have, I voted for Kamala. I wouldn't have voted for Hillary, quite frankly. I was just sat that one out. I did set that one out, but I don't know why, because I thought it was impossible, that anybody would vote for Trump. So, okay, I'm one of those morons, but that time. But this time, yeah, I voted for Kamala. Not even because, I think she'd have been fine, but that's all neither here nor there. My point is simply that the majority of people in this country don't want a woman president. Why? I don't know, but they fucking don't. The same way they don't agree with women being in combat. The majority of Americans don't agree with that either. The majority of feminists would argue that I'm being a misogynist by saying that. Like, well, I disagree. You know, if you've ever been in a ground combat role with a female, you would know. I mean, you would just not want to deal with that. It's I mean, it's a physical thing. It's not about bravery. Women can be just as brave. They can have just as much heart. They can be just as willing to pull the trigger and just as willing to slit a throat, of an enemy combatant. That's not the problem. It's just the physicality of it. That's all. That's the only reason. And when you have a lack of physicality, if you had a dude that was a buck 05 ringing wet and 5 foot two, you'd probably be like, oh fuck, unless we're gonna stick him in a tunnel. What good is he? I mean, especially when he's not very strong either. So anyway, I'm getting on sidetrack. Point is that this society has shown that we're not ready for a female leader. But rather than take that fucking hint, the Democrats decided, oh, let's push her in front again. Hell, they'd have been better off fucking getting Waltz nominated, honestly. And it's because he's still popular and maintained his popularity that the right wing powers that be and the influencers have gone after him still to this day. Why? Because he is incredibly popular and he was going to be a problem, in a few years if they actually allow an election to happen. He would have been a problem. Very folksy. People like him. Military background, yada yada. As it is, it's probably going to end up being Newsom. But who knows? I don't know. I'm not a political pundit. But I just came on to like give MAGA shit for being fucking idiots. But thanks a lot for giving us all this. And it's always like the one thing I will say is, have you ever met an atheist MAGA person? No, unless Musk is, or Thiel, or Peter Thiel, or some of those other billionaires in the background. And I know some of them are incredibly fundamentalist Christian, and some of them don't give a shit. They just want the power, but they're also not MAGA. They're just powerful people wanting more power, right? So they'll elect whoever the fuck they have to, however MAGA'd up they are, because they know they're above it all. And let's face it, they are above it all. They just are. When a recession hits, unless somebody rich had all their money in the stock market or some shit, if they were at least smart enough to put something in the bank, they're going to be fine. However, the rest of us, not so much, So, and it's the same with all that, with no, what do you know? I fucked up and got high and lost my train of thought, and that's some shit. Yeah. So not going to solve the ice problems of the world's problems today. Just wanted to vent and drop some cynicisms for the day. May get on later. I don't know. Maybe I'll go to Home Depot. I don't know how much time I'm going to have. Anyway, try not to get shot in the face if you go walking around town, wherever you may be, but especially if you're in Minneapolis or anywhere else that ICE is deciding to post up. So be careful out there. They're watching you. Later.